We have
completely
the most
crushing
spending
him in that
power.
game.
Like we have economic power, but we're just not using it in the right ways.
No, but I mean, if you're talking about a march, it's a good thing if you see a good actual representation of the country out there, because that means like, hey, look, the majority of the country feels this way.
But
so
when
it's a real problem if it's not just one group.
What's changing now? When it was all black people back in the 60s marching, things are getting changed. Reforms were actually being made. What was a change that was made for the black community during the George Floyd march?
I mean, there has been some police reform that has been passed in legislation, but I would say a big part of the whole BLM situation that hurt the movement a lot. Because now people are like, oh, this movement's fucked up. And now they stop caring, stop donating. And so that hurt the movement.
And the big thing about change is that there was more legislation to be made back in the day because racism was more prevalent in the justice system. Now, like, there's nothing really that you can change in the justice system. There's nothing that's like ingrained and racist right now that you have to remove. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you basically you can't put this into the justice system. Hey, cops, don't ever do anything racist. Like you already tell them that.
Already illegal.
Yeah.
So what were the main things black people couldn't do whenever back in the 60s? What were the main things
Go to
they
the same
couldn't do?
schools, or they were getting lesser education.
Okay, lesser education. They couldn't
Walk
vote.
by a firehouse without getting hosed down.
Yeah.
That was unfortunate.
They couldn't get certain jobs, all this and that.
Well, yeah, I mean, when does, if we're being serious, when is segregation come down?
The 60s.
Yeah, 60s, I think.
But then, what?
65?
Johnson,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Johnson.
What's the most incarcerated group of people in America?
Per capita?
Yeah.
But gotta be black people.
Yeah.
Black people.
Percentage-wise.
But
Yeah.
then when you're a felon, what abilities are taken away from you?
Can't vote.
Can't vote.
But to Andrew's point, that's subtle racism that people are not going to be as easily, it's not going to be as easy to legislate. Hey, let's not, there could be some subtle racism that's 13th Amendment shit or whatever that's like, hey, let's just lock up more black people.
It was
but it's
legal
not in the law.
to have separate schools for black and white people. That was legal at a time. And then they made it illegal. So that's a big legislative change that you make.
Like buying houses, like
Yeah,
black
like-
people couldn't buy houses.
I know this might sound like a little racist, but like I feel like segregation was actually kind of good for black people.
There's an argument for that economically, I've heard, because it basically made the community build itself up without competition from the white community.
You get like Black Wall Streets and stuff.
Exactly,
like that.
right? You're building up its own, everything is helping one another, and that liquidity is staying within the community.
Yeah.
Whereas once you desegregate, a lot of those black dollars can be spent on these white products.
I think the main issue with separate but equal is it wasn't ever equal.
You know how everybody says it was white people that destroyed Black Wall Street, like when they burned it down? Like technically they did burn it down, but like I watched the whole documentary on it. They rebuilt it, and they actually rebuilt it better. But the thing that really killed Black Wall Street was when segregation was done away with, when you were able to shop in white stores, and the black dollar left the community, and that's what brought it down.
I've heard arguments about it. I'm sure there's...
You were at that Dr. Umar speech a long time. That's wild.
No, but it's just real. Like even when you look at Dr. King's last speeches before he died,
it was all about economic inequality.
he like low-key, I think he said, I feel like I brought my people into a burning
house.
Yeah.
Like even he realized like
I have integrated my people into a burning house.
And I feel like the only way black people can really get independence is be independent.
Financially, you're saying?
Financially and as a community, we have to be together. Like we have to work together, like